Hello and welcome to Remnant 2. We're going to be doing another themed build today, and just like the title told you, it's Dran themed. So everything we're using is from the Dran, or at least pretty close proxy, because some of it's a little questionable. But we're going to be playing on Apocalypse, so you get to see how it does there. Now the choices I've made, a lot of them not super optimized, just like any of my builds, not necessarily like the best pick you could do. However, it'd be pretty easy to just swap something out and make it the next thing that's going to make it even better. So try it out. If you want to make it even better, pretty easy switch on a lot of the things. Now, since we're doing kind of a Dran thing, the primary archetype we're going to be using is the Alchemist. It's pretty fun. I think it works best when it's kind of like a supplementary archetype, but when you use it as your primary, you do get 3 additional concoctions. And the concoction I'm going to be using today will be maximum health, some health regeneration, armor, and increased mod power generation. I think those are kind of the best ones for me right now. Partly because if my armor, I'm using the academic set. It's kind of low armor. It's a medium set, I guess, because that's where my weight's at. But on Apocalypse, the damage reduction is not very high. So with a bark skin on right now, which is another 30 armor, we've got 39% damage reduction. And again, not very much on Apocalypse. So a lot of our damage reduction is going to come from just having a nice chunk of health once we drink our concoction, and then having some extra evade windows thanks to the Untouchable. Our secondary archetype, I've gone with the Archon because I'm leaning into the kind of alchemist sort of magic almost of this character. Part of it too is because I'm using the mods a lot. There's some lightning stuff we're leaning into, so I'm going to be using the Havoc form, so we got the extra lightning effects. Yeah, I mean, the standard Archon things, man, I don't know. If you don't want to use Archon, though, I think you could justify any other archetype as a Dran thing. I was using the Hunter because you got the Riflemen. They're constantly using the rifles. I think they're one of their more deadly enemies. So Hunter is a great fit. Challenger, there's lots of melee versions of them. You got the big Ripsaw dude. Explorer, I could totally see. Engineer, because they're supposed to be like industrious, hardworking kind of people. Could totally see them making things. They made the Meridian, so to me it makes sense. So I think you could justify any kind of secondary archetype. Now the relic I'm using is a Quilted Heart. You can get it from the Oracle, and it's a very important person for the Dran. It's not a regular relic as far as, well, none of the relics are regular, but this one does not do standard healing. Instead, when you use it for the next 20 seconds, your actions don't cost stamina. So you can sprint, you can dodge, charge attack, all of it without using stamina. And then anytime you evade, that's going to heal you for a little bit of health. It's grown on me a lot. It's not the best pick for this build, and you can definitely do some very strong things with it if you lean into the effects of this relic. But it has grown on me a lot. I do actually really enjoy the removal of stamina cost, and then being able to heal whenever you just kind of like evade is actually kind of nice. I do enjoy that. And because the stamina doesn't cost anything, you can just spam it and spam it. In it, we have skill duration because I want my skills to last a little bit longer. More health because, like I said, that's part of how we're staying alive. And elemental damage because we're doing a pretty good amount of elemental damage. Now for some of the like big parts of the build, that's like the amulet and the rings. The amulet I'm going to be using as a shock device, which increases our shock damage and overload damage. It's like the only true Dran amulet that there is. The only other one you could possibly argue is a Dran one, and there's one that I kind of think is a Spirit Wisp amulet, which, I mean, immediately you're probably thinking it's definitely a Fey one, and I do kind of agree with you there. But the text in here kind of makes it seem like it might not be, because it basically says that there was magic before the Fey. You just have to find it or wait for it to find you. So, you know, maybe it's a Dran one. Maybe it's a natural thing to their world. I don't know. But there's lots of amulets that are from Lossum. Only those 2 are the ones I could think of that match the Dran. But because we're doing we got this amulet for shock damage. That's part of the reason I leaned into the Archon, and then we've got some other shock things going on. The rest of the rings, Alumni Ring is increasing our elemental damage. Just felt like the nice, true, good choice to make here, right? I've also got the Dran Scavenger Ring. You can get that for defeating Lossum on Hardcore. Whenever you collect scrap iron ammo pickups, regenerate 15% of your maximum health and increase all your damage dealt by 8% for 30 seconds. Lasts for a long time. I actually find that I am pretty much able to upkeep it the entire time. It's done me pretty decent in boss fights. It works best with a team though, because anytime your allies are picking up scrap and iron and stuff, that's going to get you the buff too, so you don't have to rely on you doing the picking up. But I really chose it because it seems like, you know, it's got wires and electrical things going on, electromagnetic, so it really I felt like it really matched in with the Alchemist, maybe the Archon kind of thing, right? But then I got the Outcast ring on, so it increases our reload speed by 5%, and then every time we reload, it gets a little bit faster, up to 5 times. This is pretty important because of the guns we're using, and then the other aim or other ring we're using, the Shiny Hog Lure. So every time we reload, we get some mod power back on both of our guns. So this should allow us to keep, you know, shooting guns, reload faster, and then every time we reload, we get our mod power back a little bit more so that we can use mods, and that's where we're getting a big part of our damage, thanks to Alumni Ring, Shock Device, the elemental damage here, and, I mean, the Archon boosting it as well. And so, speaking of guns and things, I have the Widowmaker on. The Wrangler is kind of the normal choice, I would say, for the Alchemist. It's like the baseline one that it starts with, but I kind of prefer the Widowmaker. It's got the one-shot magazine, so we're going to trigger the Hog Lure a lot more. And I still can totally see the Dran using this. We put Witchfire in it because that is a mod that you get from the Dran. Failsafe to increase its damage and maybe not use a charge. The handgun is a double barrel. Again, it's a Dran weapon. Voltaic Rondour is our mod that I've chosen. It does lightning damage. And then in addition, I mean, I think the Bloat King is native to Lawsome, to the Dran world. I don't think it's from the Fae. So I think that was a good choice as well. And I put feedback in there just so when it deals damage, it's going to be getting back some of its mod power so I can use it a lot more. And if you look, that range on it, 4.5 meters, is not its normal amount. I have points into resonance, so it is actually affected by resonance. Then for our melee weapon, I've got the Bone Chopper. That's the Dran Axe. It's pretty cool because its charge attacks do 2 melee hits. And then with some mutator in there, we're using the Shocker because I felt like one that the Dran would probably use. It's a new mutator, but after we hit a guy 5 times with melee attacks, our next charged one is going to electrocute all enemies within a range. At level 10, it then overloads them as well. So this is going to get a nice little damage boost from the Shock Device. It's an extra little bit of just shock damage for our melee attacks. And because it's charged melee attacks swing twice, it means we get to hit guys twice. Now, there are a few other options I would kind of recommend as far as like mutators and stuff that are Dran inspired. Time lapse. You get it from the Hudes Clock Tower. It's a Dran spot. There's probably some kind of argument you could say where it's actually a, you know, a Fae thing, but some of those things are overlapping pretty hard, so it's hard to say whether it's truly like a Fae thing or a Dran thing. But I would lean towards it being like a Dran because, again, magic existed before the Fae, so there you go. After that, you know, you've got the Meridian. The Meridian is made by the Dran. So if you want to use some explosives, you could go with that. Go with a corrupted one if you've got that. Those are some nice solid options. Traits, you know, we've got the potency. I'm going to try and be good about using consumables with our, you know, alchemist, because part of the strengths of the alchemist is making your consumables better. So if you're not using consumables, you're missing out on some of the strengths of the alchemist. So that makes it kind of hard to use effectively, I would say, because it requires you to think about what you're using and rely on consumables. Flashcaster helping our mod speed stuff. I've maxed out triage. I've maxed out regrowth because our relic is not doing any standard healing. So I'm gonna have to rely on some other means to kind of help keep us topped off and maybe not rely on the relic to heal us. As I mentioned earlier, untouchable, so we're relying on that for, you know, damage reduction. Maxing out vigor because we want that max HP. Maxing out spirit so we can use our mods more. Resonance to help with Voltaic Rondour aura and some of the other aura effects as well. All the remaining points I think is 8 points, got put into Glutton so that when we use those consumables, it's a little bit faster. Should touch on the skills as well. I am using the Elixir of Life because I think that's just going to work out better for us, since, again, this is not doing any standard healing for us. If we get really low, we drop this. This is basically going to be our, oh no, I'm about to go down. Or you can kind of just use it to top yourself off. Works well in team settings. The, why did it do that? Stone Mist is pretty solid as well. That one does some pretty good things depending on what you want to do exactly. Frenzy Dust doesn't really work for what we're doing, so I ignore that one completely. Archon, like I said, we're doing a lot of lightning, so we're doing our Havoc form. The absolute last thing I'll mention before we get rolling is the All-Seeing Eye. So I'm going to try and use this one a bit to kind of gives us a bit of random chance. Sometimes good buffs, sometimes bad debuffs. So it's affected by our consumable durations from the alchemist, so instead of lasting 3 minutes, it's going to last 6 minutes, which is good and bad. Alright, so we're kind of out here traveling. So the strengths of this build, I found, all of its mods and things are very good at like AoE. So it's very great at like holding down choke points, you know, clear directions that your enemies are coming from. Like, look how that does. Then you just drop out of fire, and then they walk into it, and you just wipe them out. You catch a voltaic Rondor the right way, it's going to ricochet and just keep going into the enemies. And then look, they're coming from that side, so now I'm just going here. The reload's pretty quick. Let's go ahead and just pop Archon for him here. Boom, 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 boom. And then right there, we teleport out. We were a little slow, but you can see we have a lot of regeneration kind of happening. So we can kind of just rely on that. And just finish them like that. Archon's, or the Havoc form, is pretty solid. But, I mean, if you look, I mean, our mods are, you know, I mean, Rondor is back. We've got 1 charge on Witchfire. You know, we've picked things up, so we've got lots of extra regeneration thanks to this thing. It's not a lot per second, but when you add in the 0.89 there, you know, 0.75 there, 1.5 there, and I think it's all affected by triage, so we end up getting a lot of regen per second and 178 health. It's quite a lot. But now we know they're coming from there. We just back up a little bit. We're squishy, so play it smart, right? Don't walk face first into enemies. And then if they start coming out, boom. Oh, dodge back. Charge attack, chop, chop. Roll backwards again. We're going to rely on this next charge attack to lightning strike them. Finishes off that one, which was around the corner. That's why I've been really enjoying the shocker one. And then I can help finish them. It's been a lot of fun. One thing I should... Owie. Let's go ahead and roll backwards. Oop. Hello. Let's go ahead and use a confidence booster. And then we'll use our relic. So we've got reduced stamina cost, charge attack, charge attack. So you use, if you know you're about to go in melee, you know, pop that confidence booster. It's going to give you another 10% damage reduction. So now we're at 45%. Got a good amount of health regen. And then we can just spam charged attacks thanks to, you know, the effects of our quilted heart. And if you weren't worried about damage reduction, you go with the attack speed consumable, and then you can just like spit them out really fast and get the shocker mutator triggering a lot more frequently. On the whole, the build has been pretty satisfying. I mean, there's nothing like super fancy about it. It's basically a mod build that relies on some just different things that, you know, I don't normally use because I decided to use only the Dran type of things. And, I mean, I love Voltaic Rondor. That's one of the first mods I got in the game. It did me a lot of good. I have found that, you know, it does kind of struggle against some of the bosses and things, you know. A lot of the builds I've been messing with aren't necessarily known for their, like, super high single target damage. But it does do pretty decent clearing ads. Sometimes if you get them set up right with all the, like, burning and overloaded and stuff, you can end up doing a lot of damage to the boss. But there's some aspects of it that kind of struggle when you're fighting like a big single target. But whenever you're kind of dealing with that, just know that there is some like flexibility in what you're doing, right? We could swap completely to the Spirit Wisp amulet and then rely on that to use our skills a lot more often, getting a cooldown from using mods. Go to some of the other rings and stuff, like you've got the Ring of Grace, you've got, what's the other one? I can't remember what it's called. Also, I'm completely lost. Where the heck am I supposed to go here? But you got a lot of other options for rings, whether it's the Ring of Grace, take damage healing, the Ring of Vengeance, that's going to get you increased damage and reload speed when you take damage. You know, there's some other ones as well. Singed Ring if you're really getting some burning damage going. Some nice choices in there. I've completely forgotten to use the Oracle's Eye. There it is. There's a buff, right? Does 15% increase to max health, and now we're at 195. So that's a really good buff to get. Sometimes you get like 100% increase to the damage you take. That's not so great. So here in the next couple days, that first DLC is going to be coming out. And I'm obviously going to be playing through it. Now, I'm going to be playing through with some friends. Now, depending on what, you know, for those of you who are interested in watching, seeing it, I would like to know, how would you like the videos to be? Do you want it to be kind of like largely unedited chunks? Do you want like only the main pieces, like just like have each one be like, all right, this is the dungeon we're in, and that'll be like the video. Then there's whatever other dungeon or encounter, and have those be like broken up like that. You know, what would you be interested in seeing? Because, you know, I'm gonna record it because why not? This is the wrong way. And you know, I'd like to put it on here. And I'm probably going to take this build because I like the idea of a Dran guy, like, going through and, you know, defeating the Fae, basically. I think that's kind of a fun idea. And I think if you want to, like, stick to, like, the theme idea of the build, right, where we're like, all right, we're a Dran guy and we're using all these things to defeat the Fae, I think you could totally make an argument for them, like, going through defeating some of the Fae enemies and then using the things from them to enhance yourself. So using, like, Fae equipment or mods, because now you've defeated them and you're taking this material and then you're gonna do some good things with it. I knew better. I always thought I could just sidestep it. I was too slow. Come on. Roll. Chop. Oh, it gets rid of the pigs too? Oh, thank you. Go back to you. Bang. We'll just keep sidestepping there. I think the Huntress, yeah, there she is. I was wondering when she was going to show up. Now, we got to be careful because she can be pretty scary. Yeah, kind of is. Alright, we've got the damage reduction and stuff. Roll. Boom. Boom. Yeah, look at that. Lightning helped get rid of the birds, which is great. Roll. Roll back. Oh, too early. Now we've got the Voltaic Rondure to help us do some damage. She's got thick skin and Drain. That's kind of a bummer. Oh my god. I can't hit anything right now. Awful. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how I do against the Huntress. Some of the last times I've been fighting her, not been great for me. Is it because I'm sick? I don't know. Is it because I'm just too busy thinking about how other people fight? I don't know. We'll just drop this out there. Charge it up. That's going to clear up a bunch of dudes as they come down. Boom. There we go. Look at that damage. Not a lot of damage honestly. Like, that one didn't do very much to him. But it's something, right? And even him, like, there's some extra chunks of damage we didn't have before. He was nowhere near us, and we were able to get it on him just because of the AoE. And now our Voltaic Rondure is charged up again. Let's just spit it back out. Go back there. And when we take that shot, we reload it. Charges it up a little bit again. Oh, there she is. Let's just do a Witchfire. Maybe another Witchfire, if I could hit her. Oh, there she is. Hey, roll. Roll. Okay, bang. See you later. 1, 2. Roll. Sorry. Boom, boom. Go back. Charge attack. Nice. 2 stacks of overloaded. Yeah, I mean, you can see what I was talking about with the boss stuff. Like, we're not doing a ton of damage to her. Our setup is just not necessarily meant for big single target guys. Whoa, hello. Alright. But if you really wanted to lean into the shock thing, you know, you could easily start going in and use, like, the, oh, what's the Labyrinth gun called? The Chain Lightning one. You could use that, put on the overloaded mod for lightning shots. My accuracy is just really bad right now. There we go. You know, just lean even harder into doing electrical damage. And I kind of thought dudes were going to come from there. Are they? There they are. Ooh, hello. Let's use one of these. Get ourselves reloaded. Owie. Yeah. Are they slow in my fire? Oh, they were throwing fire. Oh, hey, big guy. Bang, bang. Let's do this. We're going to ricochet off this. Roll. Owie. Roll again. Ooh, I was way too early. I wasn't watching him at all. And I thought I could be all cheeky by just ricocheting a lightning ball and then blind dodge him. Should have just dropped down the elixir of life. Yep. I'm going to call the video here, though. Obviously, I don't feel very good. You can tell by how my voice sounds. That's the build. That is the build. It's not bad. I like it. You know, like I said, gonna use it for the DLC. And I don't know, man. Thanks for watching. I do always appreciate it. And until next time, take care.